Okay, chinking has begun. These are the three tools: a real narrow trowel, blunt tipped trowel, and two sponge head trowels. I don't know what you call those. There's the caulk, the chink, white chink caulk, flexible acrylic caulk, and a little bucket of water that everything sits in and soaks in. And then there we go. There's the first three. It's the back of the building. I started on the back of the building just to get the hang of it in case I didn't do too good of a job. And then as I get better, I'll do the front. But it took me no time at all. It really is pretty easy. You also use a little squirt bottle to wet the chink. And there you go. I put in some backer rod. It's styrofoam backer rod that I fit in between the gaps. I got some ladders in the way, but there you go. Here's the first three, and it just for those three, it took about a caulk tube and a half. So it doesn't go a very long way, and it's not put on very thick either, but just doesn't go a long way. But it turned out pretty good. Here's a close-up shot. I'm doing it pretty smooth. I used the sponge head to get it really smooth at the very end. And there you go. Some of these white dots on the logs, that's just styrofoam that I'm going to brush off later. It's not chink. There you go. It's just a real light touch. You just barely touch it and just smooth it out. And make sure it touches the logs, makes good contact with the logs to make a good seal. Okay? You can see all my remnant styrofoam pieces that I've been cutting with my table saw back there. And looks pretty neat already because it's white, so it looks like what it's going to look like. And I finished the whole front. This is what the front looks like. And here's the side under the tarp, side of the building. All these are cut. Here's the little strips that I cut it all with. And the back is progressing. I showed you that already. The bottom three layers already have the caulk chink. I still got to do the gable over here. And the other side of the building is almost done too. I just got a little bit left on the top to do. And it's kind of slow because you just got to fit it all, and I'm almost like sculpting the angles of each piece on my table saw over here. And they're like hexagon shaped, they're like wedge shaped. This is the rectangle, but then I put angles on them so they wedge into the logs real well. And then it takes a lot of finger pressure just to kind of push it all into place to make a good airtight fit. So I think it's time well spent to take your time and get as good a tight a fit as you can for the R value, and then you get a better seal on the building and insulation value, so. But it's come along pretty good. I've only got two more to do right in the middle. You can see the styrofoam there, but from about there up, The entire gable is done. And you can see the styrofoam on these two. I still got to do, but here's a close-up. You can kind of see the texture, how it looks like it's a little pebbly when it dries. So it kind of looks like clay or something. Turns out pretty good. And those little white dots are just styrofoam that, as I'm going, I'm kind of cleaning it off. And there's a shot, you can see the, excuse me, you can see the soffit that I did. Here's a shot of the corners. Oh, that's styrofoam. And then there's the kind of the finished product. So I just did this one this morning, and that one, but all these top ones here are done. So I'm almost done with the entire back. And I got some holes. I'm going to dowel plug those and paint them. I just haven't got around to it. I got the back of the cabin completely done, and I started on one of the sides, and I just decided to move to the very front and just finished it all. Some of these ladders, was in the way. All these little short ones I did. Here's the doorway. But I've got the hang of it now. I'm going probably twice as fast and twice as skilled as when I did the back. Here's a shot of the back of the cabin, completely done, with the evening sun shining on it a little bit. Gable is completely done, the entire back. And there's the final gable appearance. And man, oh man, that was by far the hardest chink gap to chink. I had to cut these custom foam pieces in the corners. Just the way the architecture turned out, I was worried there was going to be like a bird nest pocket in there. And I'll get up the ladder here real quick and show you. That was really tough getting in there, but it turned out excellent. Look at that. This is the final chink gap. And then the other side with that little, that's a custom cut piece of foam, and then I chinked over it. It looks really good from the bottom. And there's all of them. So the gable half log siding is finished. Fully chinked now. Now that all of my doors and windows are complete with trim, the openings have all the trim, I had the little tiny pockets around the trim that I had to chink. That was the last bit that I had to do, and it's totally done. So you can see in those corners, it's kind of like a little trapezoid shaped area where the long chink gap meets the window trim. So those are all done. And you might see some little white lines on the logs as well. I've chinked those in the past, but I had just some little spots from settling that opened, so I went around and I chinked a few little spots there that I'll hit with touch-up paint that you'll never notice. But in the door as well, see the little trapezoid pockets that are right behind the trim. So those are all done. And the window in the front behind the lantern. And on the other side, I actually had to, with my caulk gun, I had to turn it in the shape of a hook, curve it. I put it in the microwave in a cup of hot water and I bent it so I could kind of reach back behind there. I really couldn't get the angle right, and that really helped a lot. By having it bent shaped, I was able to stick it behind there and run my caulk. Then I just wet my finger and just dabbed it and spread it like that. And then lastly, I use this sponge applicator that's also bent in the shape of a hook that I could brush when it's wet. It just helps to spread it and dab at it and spread it, and it worked pretty good. That little bit of detail really finished it off. Keeps bugs from getting around the trim and insulates it, and also just looks aesthetically looks nice because you were just seeing the painted jambs. It's all cleaned up now.